Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome to the FLASHinar, sponsored by the Reclaiming Appalachia Coalition. Our coalition seeks to spur innovative economic development throughout Appalachian communities where the economy and landscape have been impacted by coal mining. Our coalition is made up of 4 organizations representing 4 different states: Coalfield Development Corporation in West Virginia, Rural Action in Ohio, Appalachian Citizens Law Center in Kentucky, and Appalachian Voices in Virginia. I'm Joey James with Downstream Strategies, and I provide a broad range of technical assistance to the groups on the coalition. Just a little bit of background before we dive in. Recent initiatives like the AML pilot program, which have appropriated millions of dollars for mine land redevelopment projects to spur economic development, have expanded regional interest in redeveloping former mine and industrial sites for new projects with sustainable economic and community benefits. Repurposing Appalachia's degraded lands presents a unique opportunity to turn environmental, public health, and safety liabilities into community assets. We see initiatives like the AML pilot program as potentially being a great opportunity for our region. Our coalition has worked for a little over a year to identify 20 projects across our 4-state region that we feel emulate our organization's shared values. Along with this webinar, where we'll give a brief overview of some of those projects that we've identified, we're happy to be releasing a report today, Many Voices, Many Solutions. As we dive in here, I want to remind people to use the message function on GoToWebinar to send any questions you might have to our call moderators. And our first project that will be featured today comes from Terry Van Offeren, Rural Action in Ohio. Turn it over to Terry now.
Thank you. Hi. Rural Action is a nonprofit organization that serves eastern and southeastern Appalachian Ohio with a mission of building a more just economy by developing the region's assets in environmentally, socially, and economically sustainable ways. Now, diversifying rural economies around outdoor recreation is an established strategy that many communities have used to capitalize on their natural resources. As a case in point, construction of mountain bike trail systems as outdoor recreation infrastructure has served as a catalyst for economic development in many areas of the country. With that background, the U.S. Forest Service and a local bicycle club sponsored development of an 88-mile mountain bike trail master plan for the 9,000-acre Wayne National Forest tract in Athens County, Ohio. Now, that plan was completed in May of this year, and if implemented, it will result in the largest continuous mountain bike trail system east of the Mississippi River, which will make it a destination-level trail system. So this is proposed for a county, Athens County, designated as distressed by the Appalachian Regional Commission this year. It's one of 4 counties designated as such in Ohio and one of 84 nationwide. Now, in cooperation with project partners and other matching funds, Rural Action developed and submitted an Appalachian Regional Commission power application in August of this year for, among other activities, the construction of the first 31 miles of that trail system. So a decision will be rendered in December on that application. But if approved, the remaining trail will be paid for through a pay-for-success impact investing model. And the estimated cost for the entire 88-mile trail system is $5.4 million. Now, for a positive economic impact to be fully achieved, the main trail will need to be connected to numerous communities that border the trail off of U.S. Forest Service property. Connectivity to the trail via anticipated trailheads in Chansey, Doneville, and Buckdale is challenged by surface and underground mine features. Pilot program funding will be directed toward trailhead development and those abandoned mine land features, such as a mine shaft, numerous portals, a dilapidated mine structure, unstable mine spoil, and altered surface drainage, all at an estimated cost of $1.6 million. Now, Real Action's Entrepreneurial Communities Coach is beginning to work with these communities and associated businesses to ensure that they will be in a position to enhance this economic opportunity if the ARC grant is approved. So in an analysis completed by an impact investing firm, it's been projected that the trail system will attract 181,000 additional visitors to the area over a 10-year period, resulting in $20.1 million in increased spending, $6.9 million in higher wages, and $7.3 million in increased tax revenue. 25 new tourism-related businesses will be created and 50 improved. 32 displaced workers and at-risk youth will be trained in new outdoor recreation careers, and 190 jobs will be created or retained. And now I'm going to turn it over to Tim.
Thank you very much. Again, my name is Timothy Baker with the Housing Development Alliance. We're located in Eastern Kentucky. We serve a 4-county region of Leslie, Perry, Knott, and Breathitt County. The Housing Development Alliance has been started its inception in 1993, rebuilding homes, repairing homes, building low, affordable rental units for our communities for the past 28 years now. In this time, HDA has increased local tax revenues to $350,000 per year within our communities. We retain 75 community jobs by spending $1,000 every hour on materials, labor, and subcontractors. We're proposing this year to the AML pilot funding the AGES project, which stands for an Affordable Green Energy Subdivision. The AGES development is a wide-ranging project that encompasses multiple facets of our region's comprehensive economic development strategy as developed by the Kentucky River Area Development District. Using AML funding, this project includes the purchase, redevelopment of an approximately 2.5-acre lot located in the Alley's community of Perry County, which is also on the city limits of Hazard, Kentucky. This lot sits adjacent less than 200 yards from a AML-approved slip site and meets Nexus requirements. The lot currently contains a 38,000 square foot dilapidated and abandoned strip mall that was formerly an economic center of the community. However, since being vacated, the building has become both a danger and an eyesore within the community, and now only serves the small community as a site for illegal activities. This design has been strategically created to provide the maximum benefit to both the local economy and the community. With AML pilot funding, HDA and its partner, the City of Hazard, will purchase, reclaim, and develop, and then construct a green energy subdivision that will provide on-the-job training for local construction students who attend Hazard Community and Technical College, while repairing the community's current broken housing market, boosting local economy, and providing much-needed affordable housing for our community members. Additionally, we will use AML pilot funding to combine energy efficiency with PV or solar technology to encourage the growth of a new and vibrant regional solar industry. This project also includes a variety of large infrastructure improvements consisting of $84,000 in new water line, $140,000 investment in new sewer infrastructure, $63,000 in storm drains, $230,000 in site remediation and preparation, and $205,000 in roadways and sidewalks in the community, as well as the $2.35 million investment in affordable housing. This all-encompassing project has been projected by downstream strategies to produce a return on investment of $1.95 million in the first year after the project's completion date, and $42,000 annually in perpetuity in utility and tax revenue. The project has been estimated to provide $1.1 million in earnings to local and regional employees and support 27 full and part-time jobs throughout different sectors in the regional economy. It also will provide $2.3 million in value-added benefits for the community, and these numbers do not include the economic benefit of training approximately 60 HCT students. And at this time, I will turn it over to Amanda. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I'm going to try and talk loud. I might be a little quiet, but that means everyone has to listen close. I'm Amanda Pitzer. I'm the director of a watershed group called Friends of the Cheat. We're located in Preston County, West Virginia, which is in the north central corner of the state. The Cheat River is long known as a very polluted river with lots of abandoned mine land problems. In fact, we have over 342 abandoned mine lands that discharge pollution into the river, but the slide you're looking at now shows the work that we have done to restore that river. So we are moving from a reclamation phase to a promotion and recreation phase. And there's a lot of synergistic things happening right now around the Cheat, including the purchase of the Cheat Canyon as a wildlife management area by the state, the reopening of the Allegheny Trail through the canyon, as well as the return of the paddling community because of the drastic improvements in water quality. But there's still a lot of work to be done. So what Friends of the Cheat has proposed, this proposal is pending still here in West Virginia in the AML pilot program, as we've proposed just over $3 million project really anchored here at the Lick Run Portals abandoned mine site. So the map that you're looking at shows up the AML in Preston County, and the photos are of the Lick Run Portal site. This site is unique in that the state reclaimed half of the site, but was unable to reclaim the other half of the site. So we're still seeing a great amount of pollution from that site. Over 40% of the pollution in the Cheat River main stem is coming from this location, including 272 pounds per day of aluminum, 625 pounds per day of iron. We're looking at a 2.5 pH. So what we've proposed is a trial, an AMD treatment trial at this site, but more the real core of the project is a trail project. So we have been working on a trail project for 15 years now, and this trail is about 8.5 miles long. It connects the communities of Rollsburg and Kingwood and crosses many of the streams, including Lick Run, that are heavily impacted by abandoned mine lands. So our proposal would build that trail, including soil abatement. It's contaminated by PCBs and arsenic. It would also include a spur hiking trail to the Lick Run Portals, outdoor learning park, of course, that AMD treatment demonstration. And really the core of this project, the most important part of this project, is the Trail Towns programming in the communities. We don't expect to build a trail in the woods and see it change our community. So we've proposed a Trail Town project modeled after the Great Allegheny Passage program, where we're working with the communities on organizing, training, business plans, and marketing to capitalize on their awesome new trail. So our proposal's pending. We had a wide range of support, both R's and D's, and we are hopeful that our long work to advance this project will be realized, and if not, we'll be trying again. So thanks everybody for listening to our project, and now I'm going to turn it back over to Adam.
All right, thanks Amanda. And while I am getting the screen back to the other slideshow, I'll remind folks that I'm the last presenter here to talk about what we're doing in Virginia, and then after that we'll open up for questions. There's already one coming in. You've got 3 minutes before we get to the question and answer portion of this FLASHinar. So Adam Wells with Appalachian Voices in Southwest Virginia, and what I'm going to talk about are opportunities for developing solar on mine land, both abandoned mine land as well as post-law mine land, and some of the work that we've been doing around this in Southwest Virginia. So through this work, we did collaborate on an AML pilot submission, but at the request of our partners, we're not disclosing the details on that proposal until we hear about funding. But there's still a lot of specifics about the opportunity more broadly that I want to talk about here. And so there's 3 points that I want to make specifically. So the first is there's a lot of potential for net metered or behind the meter solar that intersects with both abandoned mine land features as well as post-law reclaimed sites, either at commercial or institutional scale sites that have been developed in the coal fields of Southwest Virginia, and then across the region more broadly in Central Appalachia. The lowest hanging fruit that we've found is to identify locations where schools, hospitals, commercial centers, industrial sites, or data centers overlap with the AML mining features. And in these cases, AML pilot funds could be used to both do reclamation work on AML features while also lowering the overall cost of the solar project. And the sweet spot that we've found is to find properties that are owned by county governments, industrial development authorities, or other public or quasi-public entities that can easily engage in project development. So shifting to larger utility scale solar, as many folks have recognized, there's just vast potential to use the thousands of acres of coal impacted lands for larger scale solar developments. Utilizing formerly mined lands for these larger installations avoids many of the pitfalls that have been encountered in greenfield development or developing agriculture or forest land. And there are actually already several solar companies that are already doing work in this niche that's kind of called brownfields to brightfields. But as of yet, we haven't seen any significantly sized solar farms on mined land, either in Southwest Virginia or Central Appalachia as a whole. So there's three big hurdles that we need to clear in order to make that possible. One is finding appropriate sites where all these criteria overlap, especially within reasonable distance of transmission lines. Two, we need to engage with utilities to negotiate power purchase agreements or finding other ways to get that power to market through creative methods. And then three, you'll always have to find a willing landowner, which in these cases is almost always a coal or a landholding company. In the case of utility scale solar, we're usually talking about larger, more recent mines. However, oftentimes there are AML features within or nearby the boundaries of these larger mines, so there's still a good chance for an AML pilot connection on the larger sites. The last point I want to make is as solar development becomes widespread on all scales, both commercial, utility, as well as residential, there's a tremendous opportunity to support the growth of a locally rooted solar industry cluster within our coal fields in Central Appalachia, which is what we're actively working to do here in Southwest Virginia. And it's really critical work for us to do. It'd be all too easy for already established solar developers to come in from outside the region and drop panels either on the roof or in the ground, and then export the wealth, which really just replicates the model of extractive industry that's largely contributed to our current economic hardship. And we really need to work collaboratively across the region to do everything we can to make sure we set up projects that invest in our communities locally. So Appalachian Voices co-convenes the Solar Work Group of Southwest Virginia, which is a stakeholder group working to support the development of a solar industry cluster in Southwest Virginia that maximizes local economic impact. And during recent meetings this fall, we've really been diving deep into the subject of solar on mined land. And so if you're interested in joining that discussion, look forward to hearing from you. Please reach out to me. So that's the end of our four project profile discussions. We got a few questions coming in here. I'll see what they are here. The first one is, will the presentation be made available? And yes, in the link that you see in the bottom right-hand corner of this last slide is the hyperlink to where the report is housed online. It can be downloaded as a PDF. Great, and that was so far the only question that's come in. I want to see if any of the panelists have any final thoughts as we're waiting to see if any other questions come in. Okay. One thing that I'll mention is that we do have a what's called the Innovative Mine Reclamation Google group or working group that has a listserv that many folks are probably on who are watching this webinar. If you're not on that and interested in joining it, feel free to shoot me an email, adam@appvoices. It's a moderated listserv where we share news on innovative reclamation projects and funding announcements and that kind of thing. So I hope that if you're not on that, you'll get in touch with us. All right, we've got another question here. Okay, so this question is for me. It says, you talked about dealing with local landowners, many of whom are coal companies. Can you or others elaborate on that challenge? What kind of resistance are you encountering? Sure. Yeah, there's a lot to say about that, and I'll just mention a few things. And then I know that others have dealt with this in their states. So really, what's difficult is that coal companies, especially who own large tracts of lands, when they hear about a solar farm going on their property, they kind of see it as a fixed asset that would prevent any further mineral extraction, whether that's coal, gas, or timber. And kind of see it as locking in that land use pattern for the life of the solar system, which is 20 to 30 years. And so that's kind of really if I go the route of solar development, then I won't be able to do anything else, which can be true if the solar arrays are ground mounted using cemented into the ground. But there's new innovative ways to do more ballasted systems that can be moved in the event that they need to be moved, either for development of any kind, whether that's mineral extraction or other commercial development. Anything else that others on the panel want to say about land ownership challenges with solar development?
Yeah, Adam, this is Joey James. And I would just add, reiterate kind of what you were alluding to there. One of the issues that we've run into in working with, similar to coal companies, economic development authorities and industrial development authorities, my friends, who I love a lot, who are on this call, is hesitation to embrace large-scale solar as an economic development option, because what they're looking at is really jobs per acre. We know that our flat land is somewhat limited compared to other states in other regions. So they really want to maximize the number of jobs. And what we're trying to do, and I think what the project concept in the report highlights, is how we can use solar as something to stack on top of existing economic development that's taking place, and hopefully position Central Appalachia to really attract some of these solar value chain jobs, because that's where the benefits are, as in the value chain, up the value chain from the actual facility.
Great, thanks, Joey. Anyone else on the panel want to weigh in on it? Okay. Eric Dixon, I'm going to throw this next question to you, so get ready. The question is, do you anticipate that the new Democratic-controlled House will change the way that this work is done? For example, will there be more pilot funding?
Who knows? It's a good question. And I honestly don't think we have, those conversations have happened yet. For a little bit of reference, this is in the report, but in the kind of existing congressional budgets, AML pilot, there's a line item that's continuing for AML pilot. Now, those haven't passed yet. Congress might pass that budget in early December. They might kick it down the road a couple months. But right now, the program will continue to be funded. And I think there are, to that point, conversations that will happen about, how implementation might look, especially as, new members might get more interested in the program.
Yeah, great. And Eric, can you introduce yourself? Who are you?
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you, Adam. I'm Eric Dixon, and I am at Appalachian Citizens Law Center, based in Eastern Kentucky.
And Eric and Tim collaborated on the project that Tim went over. So the next question, be a good one for Joey. Can someone shed more light on any of the project proposals in West Virginia? I saw something about green energy farms or even a meat processing facility. So Joey, if you can just say a little bit about those, and then maybe we can connect you with this person offline.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the projects that we highlight in the report on West Virginia are pretty diverse. It's everything from the rail trail system that Amanda went over, to mixed agriculture and renewable energy project in Boone County on a former mountaintop removal site, to a meat processing facility that has actually received funding. Not sure if anybody here from is on this call from Buzz Foods, but Buzz Foods was one of our 2017 AML Pilot Award recipients, and they're going to be building a value-added meat processing facility in Kanawha County. Yeah, happy to talk about those projects more extensively offline.
Okay, great. And here's a similar question for Virginia. Could you give us a brief overview of the Virginia projects already completed and the ones most likely to follow, and why this effort is important? And I guess the big picture response to that is none of the projects have been completed yet that got funding through the 2017 cycle. Many of them are now, in process. Most of them are in the environmental assessment phase and the planning phase, but none of them have actually broken ground yet. And Robbie, I'll follow up with you directly to talk in more detail about those. Okay, the next question. What are some of the ways to invest in communities to avoid some of the leakage that you mentioned, i.e. developers coming in from out of town and outsourcing the wealth? Does anyone else want to take a stab at that? I'm happy to answer it. I think it might be directed to me, but I'm also doing a lot of talking, so I want to see if anyone else wants to chime in to answer that one.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take a shot at it. This is Jacob Hanna. I'm with the Coalfield Development in West Virginia. And we have I'm going to bring up two different social enterprise initiatives that we've been working on. One is Strong Mountain Communities, which is set up solely to fund and assist different entrepreneurial ideas, specifically in our Appalachia region. So trying to tap into the creativity that is naturally born in the area, just from people who maybe work in different jobs or may have an idea for a new business idea, whether it's a social enterprise or a sole proprietorship, whatever it may be. We try and facilitate that with different financial assistance, business structures, communications, infrastructure, incubation, etc. And then the second enterprise that I'll mention is more so of just like a concept through our enterprises. It's what we call the 33, 6, and 3 pipeline, where all of our employees, whether they work in enterprise working with solar industry or working with agriculture, they all go through this model where they work 33 hours a week on the job training. They spend 6 hours a week in school attaining a business degree, an associate's business degree. And then they spend 3 hours getting one-on-one life skills mentoring. So it's interpersonal development, financial stewardship, communication, things like that are really essential to just developing yourself personally. So after they come through that system there that we have them work through, they are able to easily plug into that Strong Mountains community opportunity. If they did have an idea after they're working through the business model that we've exposed them to start their own business, we're always happy to help fund and get their ideas off the ground if it's something that we all agree can be a good initiative to put forward. So that's one way we're trying to make sure we're not outsourcing creativity, so to speak.
Great, thanks a lot, Jacob. And one thing I'll add that we're doing in Southwest Virginia through the Solar Work Group, which I mentioned, is we released a aggregated RFP for developing solar on 6 commercial scale projects across the region. And one of the requirements that we put into that RFP was that developers support local hiring and training of local workforce, because in Southwest Virginia, we really just don't have any solar developers at the time that are operating. And so what we're trying to do through that RFP is attract investment from established developers, but really get them to put down roots in Southwest Virginia so that they're hiring local people and nurturing the establishment of local solar enterprises. So that's one of the ways we're doing that in Southwest Virginia. I think we've got time for one more question. That's a long one. I'm having to pick. There's several more questions we have time to answer here. Let's Let's see. It says, while there haven't been any, well, that's actually another solar question. A lot of interest in solar. Here's a good one. It's a West Virginia question, so heads up, Joey and Jacob. There was a major uprising led by West Virginia teachers demanding better resources for education, especially in rural areas. Is their movement to restore the education system going to provide perhaps a new resource to integrate green development initiatives in school systems and youth programs? So, Joey or Jacob want to answer? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I think I can say that I hope so. We not in West Virginia, but in East Kentucky, we worked with an elementary school. Actually, one of the projects that's highlighted in this report, to basically propose a solar installation that would be teamed with a renewable energy education program, elementary education program, essentially to expose children from the coal fields to, an evolving technology at an early age. I do think that we'll see more of that stuff, happening in West Virginia as well.
Yeah, as you heard Adam talk about earlier, it's really essential for us if we do want to start large-scale initiatives such as solar installation to really partner with large pre-existing entities or organizations such as public schools in the region. So that's definitely partnerships and options that we're trying to nurture and work towards and integrate. Because we don't want to be doing something isolated and just by itself and not have it impact the surrounding community. So that's definitely something that's in the front of our direction for sure.
Great. Thanks, guys. Well, we are at a little past a half hour, and we promised that we'd make this a 30-minute webinar. So we've gotten pretty close. Really appreciate everyone joining us. If you asked a question that wasn't answered, we'll follow up with you specifically. We've got that information saved. And then if you have questions that weren't asked, feel free to reach out to anyone listed here on the last slide. We're here to answer your questions, and really appreciate everyone's time, and thanks so much. Bye, everyone.